My name is Courtney Benjamin. This is my life, my story.
So, in the relationship, when you meet this guy, is he nice guy? Is it an abusive relationship, or how was the whole relationship?
So, I always say it's an advertisement with people who are narcissists. When you first meet them, they have to advertise themselves to make themselves look good so that you're drawn to them. So he was whatever I wanted him to be or needed him to be at that time. You know, he was a billboard for Courtney likes this.
Yeah, I got you.
And it drew me to him. And, you know, it didn't stay like that long. Maybe, I'd say a year. But we weren't living together.
Okay.
He was like, well, you know, I got you. Just come stay with me. What do? I go stay with him. And then everything changes.
Because he got you now.
Oh, yeah, he had me because I was like, okay, Lord, he's everything. He's dressed up like the way I think I want somebody to be for me. And, you know, after having been by myself through all these different things I was going through, it felt nice to feel like I had somebody that I could depend on who could be there for me emotionally. Because at this time, I don't have my son.
And did he know about your past?
He knew about my kids and things like that, but we didn't go deep. Like,
Okay.
you know, he didn't try to get deep with me like that.
He still was supportive in a way.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
You feel comfortable with him. Okay, I got you.
Yeah, if he would like tell me your whole life, I probably would be like, here it is, you know, because he was that guy for me.
Gotcha.
I felt like I confided in him and things like that. But I knew I needed to go to treatment because right now I have two babies. My kids are literally 2 years and a week apart. Okay, so 1 week, my son was a week old. My daughter was just about turned 2.
Okay.
So that, I don't know how that works out. God works in strategic ways, but that's how it worked. And so at this time, I'm kind of great at rehab facilities. I know how to find them and things like that.
Okay.
I knew that Walter B. Jones was a medical facility to a certain extent. They have doctors and nurses there.
Okay.
I knew that I needed a place like this for my kids because of my son. Well, they, you know, my son gets sent to Chapel Hill.
Okay.
So I ended up they sent my paperwork to, I don't remember the name of this place, but it's a Robeson healthcare facility. It's transitional living.
Okay.
When you have kids the age of the ones that I had, you need to go into a facility like this,
Okay.
which is not a medical facility anymore.
Okay.
So I understood that it wasn't going to be easy. My son, when he gets discharged from the hospital, we could go there. So
Okay.
he gets discharged. I say we because it did feel like we were both there because the whole time he was in hospital, I was right by his side. I never left. I didn't want no other child. I know I didn't want any more kids, but I knew that he was my responsibility and I was there every step of the way.
Gotcha.
So we go there to the place, the transitional living. I have both my kids with me.
Okay.
Things are great. Things are real great. You know, I'm like, okay, I can do this, you know, even though I got one that's now being able to talk and needs to be potty trained and a newborn baby. And mind you, I wasn't the everyday mama. Like, this is very new to me. It's like, here's your kids and I'm in a house with them. Now what do I do?
And you're reasonably young.
Yeah, so now I got 2 kids and I'm just like, Lord, take the wheel. So we were in, they have workshops, sort of like workshops. When you're in rehab, you go and they do all these different things, teach you how to cope. We're in one of them classes. The kids are in daycare. They had a daycare on site. The lady comes running in there with my baby. You need to go to the hospital with him. What now? We just got out of the hospital. I mean, he was in and out, in and out, in and out of the hospital. But this particular time I'll never forget because it changed everything for me. We went there. Of course, they took my daughter from me and they were like rushing him, you know, telling us to go to the hospital, to the emergency room. And I'm like, well, let me take her with me. They were so adamant about taking her away from me. And now if I knew what I knew now, I would have took her with me. I wouldn't let them just take her. Because I felt like it made them feel like I was complying to whatever they had up their sleeves. I was too young to understand that you have a choice. So they took her and I was like, okay, it'll be fine, whatever. I get to the hospital, they take him from me. You know, they take him to the trauma because he wasn't breathing. He wasn't breathing at all. I don't hear my baby crying for over a minute. I thought he was gonna die. They thought he was dead because they were about to call the time, and then he started crying. I was like, okay, he's okay.
Okay.
I don't think we were in the hospital this time here in Greenville. Was it Vidant at the time? I don't think we were there a week before CPS came with one of the, what do you call them? They're one of the workers from the rehab facility came. She has a name, but I just can't think of her title. She comes too with her clipboard, and I'm like, they're like, pee in this cup. I'm like, lady, that's what you worry about, me peeing a cup. My son's over there hooked up to every tube they could find in this hospital. Literally, he looked like something that was plugged into a wall. And you're telling me to pee in a cup. By pee in a cup, whatever, it's fine because at that time, I'm just at the hospital with my baby. Yeah. But there's the slight problem with all of this. And the problem is what they discharged me from the treatment facility because they said that his medical needs, I'll never forget exactly what they said to me. It was life-changing for me. They said his medical needs exceeded their program, is what they wrote on that paper. And I said, what does that mean? And they were like, we cannot handle this case. This is not us. We can't do this. So, but we have an idea that might work for you. You'll love this. What is it? Oh, I'm going to love this, right? You can come back with your daughter, but he cannot. He has to go into the system. I said, what are we doing? Okay, so you automatically know that I'm not about to choose one of my children over the other one. That was never an option for me. I knew that I wasn't ready to be mommy, but I wasn't willing to say that one was more important to me than the other one. I just, in my mind, that was like the ultimate betrayal to my children. Like everything I had done up to that point, if I done that, I felt like that was it. Like there's nothing worse than you saying you're more important to me than this baby here. This one, I don't know if he's gonna live 2 more days because he just having so many problems. And she can barely talk. And I had an attachment with her because remember, she was with me for her whole first year of life. So we have that. I didn't know what to do. So what did I do? I completely spazzed out and I left. Like, I didn't leave. I think it's when, because mommy, I think you came and got her. Got my daughter. And then my son, he's not discharged from the hospital yet. I didn't leave the hospital. I told that lady to get out. I said, I'm not doing that. I can't do that. She said, sign it. I said, I'm not signing anything. Then they came in with another paper telling me to sign where they were taking my son. Not because I was clean, I wasn't clean, like my urine. It wasn't that. They wanted me to turn him over to the state because they felt like he would be better in the system. So in my mind, at that, I'll never forget it because that day was horrible. That was I think that is the top. That's number 1 on my list of bad things in my life that I had experienced. Everything else, that was this day here. They were like, they were trying to get me to sign the paper for him to get put in the system. I ain't signing that paper. I said, I'm not signing nothing. But they took him from me. They took him from me. So the lady comes that they were going to send him with. I held him. Here she comes. And they were like, well, we'll give you a few more minutes with him. And I looked her in her face and I said, just promise me one thing, that you'll take care of him, that you won't hurt him. I'm not going to cry. You will not do nothing to harm my baby, okay? Because he really needs somebody. And I'm not that somebody right now. Please tell me I can trust you with him. And she promised me that, and she has done exactly that. We have a relationship. But that day, it was different for me because I had to give him to someone else, and I had no choice. When they say that the system, they can take your child if they know that your history is addiction, and they feel like they will take your child. I did not pee in a cup and it was dirty or none. My urine screen, none of that. They took him from me. Okay, they didn't give me a decision. They just took him. And I was like, so either way, you were just going to take him from me. Exactly. And what happens next? I spiral like never before. You would have thought that I was like mourning someone's death. That's how bad it was for me. I was out in the street crying in the rain. I was literally losing my mind because they took something from me and I had no choice. I felt like there was nothing I could do. You know, when you feel like there's nothing, like that's like watching someone hurt your child and you're behind bars and you can't get to them to do anything about it. That's how I felt. And I was like, I'll never trust the system again. After that, oh no, 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 no. My mama will tell you, if we go somewhere and I see a strange person coming in the room with a clipboard, I'm like, what is that? What you got going on? I just don't like that vibe. It's something about that takes me back to that moment where he was taken away. He was taken from me.
Now, after this going on, because you're still young.
Oh yeah.
Were you in your 20s at the time? So
early 20s.
What was your mentality like at this time? Right after
Oh,
this happened,
wow.
you said you spiraled down, but
Where was my head?
Yeah.
I can tell you, completely honest, I don't remember. Like 2 years after that, I can barely tell you anything that happened. I was completely gone from my mind for a very long time, and didn't care. Like I can remember this, and this is really strange that I remember this, where I knew a guy. He was like one of those people you go to if you want prescription pills and things like that. Remember I told you I had that problem with pills now. And he gave me this really small pill. And I was like, I don't care what it is, just give it to me. Took that pill. It must have been something that you take before surgery or something. I could literally not feel my whole body. I could splash some water on myself, could not feel that. I said, well, I'm going to walk home. Why would you do that? I literally don't know how I got to the house. Like, I blacked out from that. Once I took that pill, I woke up the next day at home, and I don't know how in the world I got there. If that tells you where I was in my head, like, I don't know how I got home. I couldn't tell you how I got there. I don't have a clue. I was playing Russian roulette with my life. So many occasions where you know you're at your limit. That's why I understand and I sympathize with the person who is they're deep down in addiction when they see people OD on drugs and stuff. I understand that mindset of just not wanting to feel nothing else. Everything else don't matter from this point on. That hurt that you carry, I understand that feeling. People like that, so crazy. You don't understand the hurt that it takes to get to that place, and you better pray and hope that God never allows you to see it, because it is a true spirit. And if you get to that place, I pray God's strength, because that's how a lot of people lose their lives. They just get to that place where they just want to be numb, and they don't see no way out.
Exactly.
I ain't see no way out. You done took my kids. You know, you done took them away.
So, at some point though,
Yeah.
you come to the conclusion like I have to do better.
Right.
I want my kids. Do you go to a shelter or anything?
Well, before the shelter was the guy we were talking about.
Okay.
That was supposed to be like my safe haven.
Okay.
Yeah, the first time he hit me, he shut my eye completely closed. I didn't call 911. I called my mama. Okay. And mama was like, I sent her a picture of my eye. I was like, look what he has done to my eye. And she was like, just come home. Just come home. Did I go home? Absolutely not. The cab, I think she called me a cab, because my mama never drove. My whole life, I never seen my mother in the driver's seat of a car, period. She's a city girl for real, like jump on the bus and go. She calls me a cab, it comes, I'm about to get in there, and he's like, I'll never do it again. And that was enough for me to say, I'm gonna stay. That shouldn't be enough. I mean, I couldn't even open my eye. It was completely shut. And that's how hard he punched me. He didn't slap me, he punched me. And this is a guy who he's about 5'10", and he, on a weekday, he's probably about 265 pounds. Okay. Muscle, not fat. He bench pressed every single day. Ooh. And I seen him literally take a motor out of a car and sit it on the ground. If that gives you an idea how much bigger he was than me. Yeah. You know, most people say that's attractive right now. I was like, I will take the opposite at this point in my life. But so nevertheless, I stayed with him. I would stay clean for some periods of time, but he was a raging alcoholic and he liked to use drugs from time to time.
Okay.
So it was the environment. Like, I'm good for a while, and then certain people would come around. So I was in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out. Then this happened. So I was working this job. I had been working this job a while. I knew I had to go to work the next day. He had been gone all day. Usual. That's normal.
Okay.
Drinking, he gets real fired up with that liquor, come home, and he's enraged. But this time it was different. To me, it was different. He seemed more mad than usual. You've been with my dad. You've been with my brother. You've been with my sister. You've been with the priest. You've been my neighbor. He was like going off. I'm like, I don't know none of these people. What are you talking about? He grabs me. He puts me to the ground. He puts his knees in my chest and chokes me unconscious. He choked me until the life was leaving my body. I literally was seeing everything I ever done, like, going before me. Like I was watching my life do this, and every shallow breath, and then I just blacked out. I don't know how. I woke up, and he was literally about to hit me with something. And I got up and took off running down the street in a nightgown. And I just ran and ran and ran. And I don't remember where I went that night, but I know I went to work the next day with a black eye. And she's like, the lady I was working with, she's like, Courtney, you really got to do better than this. Like, you cannot continue to let this man do this to you. Like, do you realize that he could have killed you? Like, that could have been it for you. Like, nobody's in the house but me and him. Everybody that live around us is scared of him.
Yeah.
I mean, they literally will agree with what he says because they fear what he will do to them because of his anger. His temper is terrible. And so he's literally choking me. People just walking by, and then nobody stopped. I mean, he would beat me up outside the house. People would just continue to walk. Like, they just act like it wasn't even happening because that's how people feared him.
Yeah.
Because he was that guy that you just didn't want to get into it with.
He had that reputation.
Yeah, people were like, I'm not getting involved.
Yeah.
And I understood that, but I also understood there's a girl, like,
Yeah, that's right.
they didn't care about. And these are guys now. Most of them, just whatever. I don't see that.
Yeah, yeah.
So so they had a box. It was about this big. And I was like, I don't have nothing. I don't have my pocketbook. I left with nothing. I just took out running because that was my reaction. Like, just get away, just get away, just get away.
Exactly.
I left my pocketbook, my cards, my keys, everything. So I'm a pretty smart girl. So I was like, he's normally gone around lunchtime because he works on cars. He's not going to be here.
Okay.
Let me slide by the house and see if I can grab at least my pocketbook while he's gone. So I get there. He's not there. Great. I put whatever fit in that box. I mean, it was a little box. Whatever fit in there is what I took. Everything else, I left it there. And I ain't been back since. It was rough because now I'm clean, but I don't have no direction. I don't know how I'm going to stay clean. I don't know. I'm not going into, like NAAA.
Yeah.
Wasn't doing that.
Okay.
It was by the grace of God. I mean, I was just like going for what I knew. I was working. I had nowhere to go. So the thing about the domestic violence shelter is it's a waiting thing. So when you call, they get your situation, and then they'll tell you, I really want to help you, but there's no beds. Okay, I know I'm not going back there. He liked to kill me last night.
Exactly.
I'm not going there. So the little bit of money I did have, I was staying in a hotel.
Okay.
So the shelter, they have a waiting period. So you don't just appear in the shelter. I mean, some people might be blessed to be able to do that, but it doesn't happen because they don't have the resources. It's very small, especially in smaller areas, like, where I live. So I was like, there's no way I'm going back because this man was going for broke he literally, I don't know what it was. I don't know what he had used or what, but he was literally trying to take me out. Yeah. And I said, I can't. I saw myself leaving, like, I saw myself leaving this earth. Like, this is everything you've been through. This is it. And I that's scary for anybody, but I knew I couldn't do that. So basically all the money I was making was to stay in hotels.
Okay.
And I did that for like a month. And then I was like, look, I cannot get ahead like this. I can't keep doing that. So a friend let me stay for, I think I was there a week or 2 weeks before. I was calling like every day, like, y'all have a bed yet? Y'all have a bed yet? And then finally the lady was like, what time you get off work? I was like, 5 o'clock. You need to be here by 6 because we have a curfew. Yeah, they have a curfew there.
Yeah.
So I was like, curfew? Hold on a second. Let me think about this before I sign that paper. And I said, well, I ain't got no choice. Yeah. So I went. And, they sit you down. I was still, you get so used to the bruise. Well, not you, but me. I got so used to bruises that I didn't realize I had bruises. The lady was like, so does this one hurt? Does that one hurt? Does that one hurt? And I'm looking like, I didn't even know I had bruises. That's bad when you don't even know you bruised up. Yeah. She said, what's this on your, like, are you okay? You have blood on your shoes. Like, I have blood on my shoes. Like, I didn't even know that I was banged up still. And she's like, well, we definitely have to take you somewhere to get seen. I was like, I think I'm okay, because this is not bad as what I've seen before. Like, yeah, he like broke my tibia and my fibula. Like, I was on a cast for over a year. Yeah, like when I stood up, like that part of my foot went flat against my leg. Like he broke, like it looked like I got hit by a car when he was through with me that time. So the little stuff she was saying to me was like, you have no idea. Both my eardrums were busted. And the doctor told me if that ever happened again, I would lose my hearing because it's been busted so many times. And she was like, yeah, and he broke my eye socket that time. Yeah, so I was pretty banged up, but like I told you, I didn't know I was banged up. Yeah. So they have to do your what's it called, inpatient therapy stuff. Well, we're putting you in therapy immediately. Yeah. I'm thinking to myself, I don't think I need help like that. You don't realize it, the trauma, until you start to come off of them drugs, right? So I started getting sober, and I don't take away anybody being sober, right? 6 years for me this year, right? Yeah. It's a beautiful thing, but that is not where the healing starts. People can talk about the good part of it, like I'm clean and sober this many years. They look, that's their like bright and morning star. They're like, that's the best part of their story, right? Yeah. But to me, that is not my Goliath. That's not my giant. Yeah. Mine was getting healed from all the physical and emotional and spiritual abuse that I dealt with for so many years. That was my pop my collar moment. Like I healed from depression, anxiety, traumatic experiences. That was my 6 years from that, because that was what really was keeping me sick. Yeah. Because even a functioning addict can keep a job, can do all these different things, but talk about the scars that it leave behind. Exactly. See, nobody talk about that stuff. Exactly. So for me, it was the emotional trauma that I had to deal with for years after that. That is the big, that was the big step. Like I really, because if you look at everything that I've been through, the emotional stuff, like it really did something to my mind, and it kept me sick. You see, when you deal with that part of it, you can stay, clean and sober, but you also can heal properly so you can help other people. You can't be around here with all these bruises and stuff in your mind and then think you can help somebody else get free. You can't do that.
So would you say the therapy helped you with that?
Yes, that's the good part of the story, the therapy.
And I'm going to say this because a lot of African Americans, we don't go to therapy.
Right.
We carry it around, we hold it in. And a lot of people, we just don't go. It's just nothing we used to. You know what I mean? So to hear you say that it helped you.
Yeah, it helped.
You would recommend that for people.
Of course I would. I was walking around holding my breath and didn't realize I was holding my breath. I would have these moments where I'd be in a car and then I don't realize I'm doing it. And my husband be like, babe, you over there breathing? Yeah. And so going to therapy helped me with that. Okay. The anxiety of going somewhere and things like that. Like it left so many different scars that you don't realize are scars until you go to therapy and they can break it down for you and help you to understand these things. Because you cannot heal from something if you gotta face it head on.
Gotcha. Now let me say this. At this point, now you're clean. Mm-hmm. You have your daughter. Mm-hmm. You're married. You're in church, and you decided to start a nonprofit.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, tell me a little bit about that.
So it's called Faith Over Fear Ministries.
Okay.
It's a nonprofit for women and children mainly, but it's domestic violence awareness program.
Okay.
So basically, I'm a preacher. So I have programs around Domestic Violence Awareness Month where people can come in and it's like, it's called inner healing to me. It is. It's a place where they can come and vent and, get the resources that they need. I can lead them in the right direction until we can raise enough money. And then I want to have my own shelter for them because I know that I understand the need. I understand that there isn't much of places like I understand from my own experience.
It's not. Yeah, you're right.
They might have 5 beds. What is that? This whole, how much, and then it's not just women and children. It's men too. Men get abused.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very important to me to be able to say, hey, I've been there.
Gotcha.
It's kind of different when, some people, they will be like, well, I don't know how you got to that road. I'm like, baby, I remember when I told a black guy just like you, I can sit and talk to them on their level because I've been there.
Exactly.
And that's help right there when somebody can relate to you and doesn't make you feel like they're making you feel less than. Because a lot of people will get to a certain place in their title and they'll, to people, that's not me. I will get in the trenches with you. I will pray with you. I will help you get past this thing. Call me whenever. We'll get through this together,
Gotcha.
And I'll tell you some things too, so you not look at me like I don't know what I'm talking about. Oh yeah, I've been there. I know exactly what you're going through.
Gotcha.
So that's what I'm doing. My next event is September 8th.
Okay.
It's called The Release. It's basically a one-night revival where they can come, women, and they can bring their kids. It's appropriate for them. It won't be nothing too heavy. But they can come and I'm gonna have like a box and they can put whatever it is they're dealing with in that box and then we'll pray and that's what I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Now,
very strongly feel like that's what's needed.
Now, how can they? Is there a Facebook page or anything for the ministry? Say whatever the name is.
It's Faith Over Fear Ministries, and that's the page.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so they can go to the page.
Yeah, they can go to my page and find links to it.
Courtney Benjamin on Facebook. Okay.
Yeah.
But we'll put the links up so people can go to it. Now, what is the relationship between you and your kids now? Because you went through a lot.
Oh yeah.
With your daughter, and especially your son when he been taken
away. He's 13
tell
now.
Me how the relationship.
Okay, he just turned 13 on the 18th, and my daughter will be 55. No, she'll be 15 next Tuesday.
Okay.
Oh Lord. So I have my daughter.
Okay.
I have full custody of my daughter.
Okay, great.
That was easy because my mom, and then when I tell you, I don't know how many cups I peed in to get that child back. She would never tell me that I was not looking to get her back. I peed in plenty of cups and went to plenty of court dates to get that child back. I'm telling you, I've heard no after no after no, and I still to get her. I fought for that one.
See, a lot of people don't know what you have to go through.
Yeah, you know how teenagers are.
Yeah.
Like, look, child, I done peed in plenty of cups for you.
Yeah.
But so that my daughter's with me. She's going to 10th grade this year. She's just really well in school. She's a teenager, and she's a girl. Those emotions. She's there, but keep her in church. Keep her inspired. I let her know, Mama been there. Yeah. You always come to me and talk.
It's important because you were around that age.
Yeah, so I know the signs, and I'll sit her down. No vaping. Don't hang out with this. Don't do this. Yeah. I said, you want to know why? I said, don't you remember the hard time I had trying to get myself together? Exactly. This always been this way for me. So you remember what I did and do better than me. I always have these conversations with her. I'm very transparent. Gotcha. And I can read her too when I can tell she's making the wrong decisions with her friends. I'm like, bring it in. Exactly. Don't be smoking. Don't be doing. I said, look at my life. Look at the things it has done to me. You don't need that. And my son, he's still with his adopted family, but me, like I told you, we have a dynamic. She tells him I'm his godmother, which is very true because God gave me him as I'm his mother. So we do it like that. He just turned 13. Okay. He's probably taller than me. Okay. He stole my face. My kids look just like me. I mean, there's no denying that. You see what I'm saying? But birthdays, whenever, like recently, I was telling her, I reached out to her and was like, hey, let's do something with the kids, Mm-hmm. So it's an open relationship where I can come to her and be like, I would love to see him. He came to my wedding. Okay, great. So there is relationships after that. So for those who think that, you know, you can't have a relationship with your child once they're gone from in the system and stuff, you can rebuild that, but you have to be willing. Like, you know, you could just say it never happened or whatever, but if you go and make necessary steps to do, I just want to be in their life. You can do that.
Gotcha.
You can do that.
Gotcha.
And when
Now-
they're old enough, then you tell them, you know.
Now we have. This is gonna be the last question.
Okay.
'Cause we got real deep today.
Yeah, we did. Boy, we
We
went
got
on.
real deep today, and I appreciate that. Now, what would you say to a young woman, a young man that's going through something similar? And what I mean by that, even your child, you know, she's 15,
Yeah.
the son is 13. They coming up of age
Yeah.
where they may want to experiment with things.
Uh-huh.
Other children maybe want to, you know, some guys may want to join a gang. It's just a
It's-
whole lot of different
yeah.
things. What would you say with your experience and what you have learned now? What would you say to them?
That life does not end with your mistakes, that you aren't your mistakes. It does not define who you are. You can become something out of your life. So even if you do make mistakes, you can redeem yourself and become who God says you are. You know, you're not what the world says you are. You're who God says you are. So if you seek him and you pray and you let God know what you need help with, he can always pull you out of any situation. And learn from your mistakes. Don't be repetitive with it. Don't be repetitive, because all it's going to do is make your life go downhill, but it's up to you to decide the next step. You can't do it for your kids. You can't do it for your family. You can barely do it for yourself, but you got to do it because you want to do it. Because I couldn't do it for my kids. I couldn't do it for my family. You see, I made all these different mistakes. You have to truly in your heart want to change. People can tell you they want you to change, but it's not going to change until you want it to change. So always make sure you're doing it for the right reasons.
Wow, that's deep.
Yeah.
I really appreciate you coming in and because and being transparent.
Yeah.
Most people don't want to speak about it, especially when they did at a young age.
Yeah.
Man, I thank you and I really hope this reaches
Yeah.
a younger generation and help them with their decisions. And I want to say I appreciate the thing that you're doing now with your nonprofit.
Yeah, I love it.
You know, I'm sorry that you had to go through what you had to go through.
Right.
But, you know, you got through it with your faith in God and everything. And we're glad that you're here to tell this story.
Right.
You made it through. And we're going to help you whenever we can. We'll try to push people your way.
Okay.
And put this message out that
Right.
you're doing now. And but I really want to say thank you for coming
No
in and telling your
problem.
story. And we wish you luck.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Uh-huh.